Hello and welcome to Premier Study and Investing. It's great to have you. Thanks for stopping by.
Hey you guys, what's going on? Hope everyone had a great weekend. Hope you're getting ready for an even better week. We're going to be looking at the chip shortage, two articles, one from Deloitte. We're going to be looking at another one from the United States government. They did an RFI, request for information. Biden administration did. They're trying to find out how bad is this chip shortage thing. So real quick, the long position is down 14% year to date. The short is up 13.83. If we scroll down, target index, it's the ICE Semiconductor Index. It's the ICE, SE, MIT. It's a lot of words coming out. Rules-based, modified, float-adjusted, market capitalization weighted index that tracks the performance of, and this is the best part probably, 30 largest U.S. listed semiconductors. They're going to give you the top 10 holdings, and they're going to give it to you by percent. If you notice how large these percentages are, 9.77, 5.5, 5. I mean, this is a big chunk of the money is going to be just in the top 10. So what do you have? Broadcom, Qualcomm, Nvidia, Intel, AMD, Marvell Technology, Micron Technology, Applied Material, LAM Research, KLA Corporation. Okay, 79% in semiconductors and about 20% in semiconductor equipment. All right, so bring this down a little bit. Let's go over and start by looking at the information that came out from the government. This is commerce.gov coming out of the U.S. government. Overview. Basically, over the past year, the Biden administration has worked with private sector to understand and address the global shortage of semiconductors. These computer chips are essential building blocks for an increased number of products, from your cell phone and your car and other critical goods, such as medical devices. Okay, so the government's getting involved. We could just kind of breeze through this, but what they say, semiconductor shortage. Okay, let's go down to the end of the paragraph. Supply was disrupted by a series of black swan events such as factory fires, winter storms, energy shortages, and COVID-19 related shutdowns. So it says, since last spring, the administration has hosted semiconductor industry convenings to spur collaboration, creating the Supply Chain Disruption Task Force to facilitate a whole government approach to the problem, and launched an early alert system to monitor production disruptions in the semiconductor industry. So, are you convinced yet that there is indeed still a supply problem? I mean, you have a lot of people working on this, a lot of eyes on it. It says, but the semiconductor supply chain remains fragile, and demand continues to far outstrip supply. What would that be? I mean, you just need like economics 101, right, to know supply and demand. If you have low supply, growing demand, way outpacing supply, and this is bullish. This is going to be good for prices. They're going to be able to charge a premium. There's going to be a lot of people wanting to get a hold of these things. In September, the Department of Commerce launched a request for information, the RFI, on semiconductor supply chain, and gave new insights to complex and global semiconductor supply chain. The department received more than 150 responses. Here are some of the key findings. Median demand for chips highlighted by buyers was as much as 17% higher in 2021 than 2 years before. And buyers aren't seeing commensurate increases in the supply they receive. This is a major supply and demand mismatch. Okay, then point number 2, median inventory of semiconductor products highlighted by buyers have fallen from 40 days, so this is the amount that they have kind of stored up, yes, 40 days in 2019 to less than 5 days in 2021. These inventories are even smaller in key industries. Third point, the RFI followed us to pinpoint specific nodes where the supply and demand mismatch is most acute, and we will target our efforts moving forward on collaborating with industry to resolve bottlenecks in these nodes. Okay, whatever comes of that, there's obviously a supply problem, right? The government is obviously concerned. Point number 4, the primary bottleneck across the board appears to be wafer production capacity, which requires longer term solutions. Now, I haven't dug deeper into this, but what I would be going to look for is, do the companies that appear here in our list do any type of wafer production, or do they have any type of wafer production ability? Again, what are we looking at? Broadcom, Qualcomm, maybe you already know about these things, and you can answer that question. I can't. Nvidia, Intel, AMD, Marvell Technology, Micron, Applied Material, LAM Research, KLA. So you can go and research those, or maybe you already know about them. It ends, last but not least, we will continue to advocate for the President's proposal $52 billion to enhance domestic semiconductor production, included in the United States Innovation and Competition Act. The semiconductor shortage is the result of a significant mismatch in supply and demand, further exacerbated by the pandemic. The number one issue identified in the RFI is insufficient fab capacity, and that's what the president's proposal is designed to accelerate. Great. You can find this one. It is coming out of Deloitte Insights, My Kingdom for a Chip. The semiconductor shortage extends into 2022. Okay. Do we have a misleading headline there? As consumers, industry, and government clamor for chips, the semiconductor industry is scrambling to keep up. Honestly, I'm going to skip the whole article. I'm going to go to the bottom. The bottom line, considering that chip shortages are likely to last through 2022, everybody should be prepared for long lead times and possible delays. The extent of these will likely vary by industry and application. Taking the long view, however, up and to the right has been a consistent trend. Global semiconductor sales were up by 25% in 2021 despite ongoing shortages, and they are predicted to rise further 10% to US $606 billion in 2022. This is almost 10 times greater than in 1990 figures, of $58 billion. Okay, when measured as a percent of global GDP, 2021 chip revenues were 130% larger than they were 30 years ago. Yeah, I mean, is that really a helpful stat? Come on, Deloitte. Given the continuing tailwind of demand from the digital transformation of every aspect of life, semiconductor revenues look to keep gaining share of global economic output, whether chips are scarce or abundant. Okay, so there it is. That's what I have for you. Like we said, if you want to go dig and see, there's your list right there. Start with Broadcom, just work your way down. Maybe you already know some of these things, but as far as this one article talked about, okay, so ending off, just going to go back to this departmentofcommerce.gov article. The primary bottleneck across the board appears to be wafer production capacity, which requires longer-term solutions. Do you like it? Do you not? Do you know something about it? Can we get a conversation started? Maybe you are way up, far ahead of me on this whole thing. But from a very cursory, simple overview, it looks like you have a supply shortage with growing demand. So, unless there's something that's going to overcome that, it looks like a fairly bullish situation to me. Okay, well, we'll see you guys on the next one. Have a great week.